My name is Mark Traeger. I'm 48 years old and I own Tri-City Bicycles, a small kind of town bike shop in Rochester, New Hampshire. I first got involved with bicycles about, I'd say, the late 1970s. I started buying real bicycles as soon as I could afford them. Kind of the early to mid 1980s, I started out riding BMX. I think that's what most cyclists do, and then I kind of migrated to road bikes and mountain bikes and just about anything with two wheels. And I guess I've been doing it for a career choice now for 20 years. It's been a while. I decided to go out on my own after working in advertising first. I ended up going to college for art and philosophy minor. And my second passion was always bicycles, and I started doing it more and more, and I worked for somebody else for a while, and I kind of had the attitude, I was like, if this guy can do it, then I can do it. So it was nice, looking forward to doing that. Being your own boss has some benefits and some negatives, but I think doing it for yourself definitely outweighs the negatives. Town bike shops, generally, I think what they give back to their community, besides your usual sponsorship of events, whether it's parades or music, or I do a baseball team and a soccer team and a softball team and plays and all that usual stuff. I also think it's a good hub for the community. Involves a lot of young people and kids. It gets them outside and off the couch and out doing something healthy. It doesn't pollute, not just in the general aspect, but also noise and things like that, and it helps people get around and really get to know your community when you're outside of the cars and kind of insulated from being a part of a vibrant downtown or your neighborhood. I tend to prefer towns that have a good bicycling subculture, or a good infrastructure, whether it's road or mountain bikes. I think that's something important that isn't thought about over the usual small town sponsorship, which is what most bike shops do. You have to make X amount to stay in business and pay yourself, but you really need to pay back and be part of your community, because they're really the ones that enable you to do what you do. I think owning your own business or being a small bicycle shop like me has a lot of good perks. You are definitely kind of a slave to the business early on, and once you get settled, depending upon what you're looking to get out of it is what you need to put into it. But you set your own hours, which tend to be a lot more than you would think, but it's okay. You kind of have free range of what you do. There's nobody lording over you, so you can play what music you want. You can set it up however you would like it to be, internally within the framework of operating a business. The bicycle side of the business is fun. The business side is kind of the drudgery, but you have to do that thing, one subset of that helps the other. They both need each other. I like the freedom that it gives me as far as, kind of doing everything that I want my own way, and I think that's really important. Most small business people get into it because of that. It's not that they think they're going to retire early, that's for sure. There's not much of a safety net to being self-employed except for what you do for yourself. I think the hardest part about owning your own business, especially for me, and this might be true of some people, not true of others, is I don't come from a purely business background. I come from the opposite of a business background. The joke early on was that I did business, in spite of myself, just trying to sell myself and the product first. It's definitely the drudgery part, the paying the bills, the taxes, all the stuff that typically is not fun for people. I guess if you're more of a numbers or have a better business acumen or drive in that direction, that could be as fulfilling or as rewarding. But I love the bicycle, the customer aspect. Yeah, it's really important to have a good relationship, because that's what it is with your customers. If you sell only or uniquely on price, they can go anywhere. They kind of have to want to come to you. So I always look at it that we sell wants, not needs. And it's kind of a give and take relationship. You know, I understand that people come here with whatever discretionary income, and most independent bicycle stores or IBDs deal more in the enthusiast aspect of the market. What most small bike stores sell are not toys, they're sporting goods. The toy aspect has gone over to most big box and players like a Walmart or a Target, and that has really hurt the infrastructure downtown wise, not just with bicycle stores in a lot of towns, but many other aspects too. Yeah, I think most bike stores have definitely a fringe element that's involved, and depending upon the demographic in the area, there will be more or less support for that. You know, I originally grew up in New Jersey, and there was a lot more people, so the cycling culture, whether it be road, mountain, or BMX, was probably a little bit stronger. Although not necessarily more passionate about what they do, or how they do, or who they do it with. But up here, you kind of have to grow, you know, as a small business, you kind of have to grow your own fan base. And I think that's really important, is to create an outlet. And, you know, a lot of times I have people come to the store just to hang out, which is nice. You know, it's nice if they buy stuff, it's nice if they want to hang out, because they're your best sales tool out there to grow the business and kind of grow that subculture to make it bigger. There's a few things I think that I would like to change, although most are out of the reach of most small businesses. In a downturned economy, people have less discretionary income, kind of more of a blue collar, you know, urban, slightly suburban area in a town like this. A downturn like that affects people for a bit longer than in a more an urban area or places with more tech industries. There's been a big contraction over the years as far as millwork, whether it was leather or rubber or textile, woolen type things. A lot of that industry has left, and there's been a little bit of a void to fill that. So I think that small businesses can help with that, but there's a bigger, you know, infrastructure problem within the U.S. that, I don't know. I own a bike store. I would never know how to address something like that, but it would be nice if there's, you know, bike lanes and more of a will for that kind of things. And you see it in some areas, and some areas takes a little bit longer. All right, well, yeah, weather is definitely a factor. Being in New England, in the bicycle industry, it's called the snow belt, so it definitely affects the your ridership and how long you have to, you know, have a profitable season, you know, depending upon how long the winter is, you know, how severe it is kind of a double whammy besides the economy to affect, you know, when and how much you're going to sell. A lot of the manufacturers I deal with have a different dating, kind of a sliding scale as far as when and how you get your product and when the parts are due. Yeah, I mean, safety's a big aspect with cycling. You know, it's like anything else that you do, whether it's skiing or rock climbing. You know, there's definitely a risk versus reward element on there. In the state like New Hampshire, there's a mandatory helmet law, which I remind a lot of parents, and sometimes I get the response that, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't wear a helmet. Well, your bikes didn't have hydraulic disc brakes and 6 inches of suspension travel and 27 speeds either, and you didn't try to ride up and down the things that are out there today. So it's very important, you know, cycling, almost like I always say, like scuba or skiing is something you can go and do, but it requires extra equipment really to be comfortable and safe and to make it enjoyable. You know, I guess you could ride or ski or scuba in blue jeans, but I don't know how well that's really going to work out. So yeah, the proper safety equipment and attitude toward it is very important. Bicycle shop like myself, like I said, I deal more in sporting goods aspect. So since you're not selling a toy, a lot of times it demands a little responsibility from the end user, even kids with their BMX bikes or mountain bikes. The proper tools and maintenance go a long way to durability of the product. You know, kids sometimes it's a lot more fun to ride them than to wrench on them, but it's very important, you know, to keep up the maintenance just from performance and a safety aspect, really. And some kids get it, some kids don't. You know, the kids that don't, they pay me to fix them, which is pretty good too.